WTVN Columbus on the OTC HD2 Ashford on iHeart.
And expected later today on his nominee to fill the vacancy at the U.S. Supreme Court.
President Trump expected to Judge Amy Coney Barrett as his nominee to fill Justice Ginsburg's seat.
We're going to be naming the nominee.
The president's expected pick, ABC Chief National Secretary Moran.
Amy Coney, 8 years old. She's judge Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. She'd be Trump's third. She has said subsequently that she thinks now it's been on the board for a long time, so it's a different question.
Changes in the Rochester, New York Police Department following the death of Daniel Prude while Mayor Lovely Warren today.
I am extremely pleased for appointing Sullivan as the new interim chief of police effective October 14, 2020.
Warren saying she's confident Sullivan will instill a fresh approach to policing. Third night of protest down on the Brooklyn Bridge, California. Police making arrests in Oakland, where a protest turned violent. And in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a car driving through an intersection blocked by protesters. Taylor demanding the grand jury. California.
Reimbursements, which was cut short in the case of the pandemic, or actually in the case of Knott's Berry Farm. That park never opened after it closed in March. The suit being filed as a class action on behalf of all Cedar Fair's season pass holders. It said earlier this year that anyone holding a pass for this year will also be able to use it next year. A second woman now has been charged after an incident. It was a Thursday night game that went well past 10 p.m. A Browns spokesman said they honestly didn't know that the rules applying to bars and restaurants to cut off at 10 p.m. also apply to First Energy Stadium. I'm Tom.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610.
You guys can hear us okay?
T-Mobile Business Advantage. Right now, get up to 90 days of unlimited free on business plans when you switch. Stop by for details. Plus taxes and fees. Complete port within 60 days. Customers over 50 gigabytes per month have lower speeds during congestion. Video at 480p unlimited on our network. See T-Mobile.com for details.
Windows, siding, APCO. Absolutely. We don't rely on gimmicks to get customers. We rely on our reputation. APCO is a local, family-owned window and siding company established in 1962.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can trust APCO.
APCO.com.
If you are on Medicare and have questions about drug and health coverage options, register for a Medicare Checkup webinar with the Ohio Department of Insurance. Learn about Medicare open enrollment, financial assistance programs, and important deadlines. Everyone on Medicare should review their health and prescription drug plan options. Annual open enrollment runs October 15th through December 7th, and any changes are effective January 1. Visit insurance.ohio.gov or call 1-800-686-1578 to schedule an appointment.
Looking for an expert in Columbus? Go to this radio station's website to find experts in HVAC, like Starner's Heating and Cooling and Classic Air, using Tempstar Heating and Cooling products. See these experts and more that are right here in Central Ohio. Keyword experts.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility that's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil. This is where I usually stand up here on my soapbox and gripe about something. Today, I'm going to take a step back. We received an anonymous letter this week in the mail. And first of all, we're all adults here, and I have a little respect for the person who neither signed the letter nor even have a return address on it. So easy to be critical from the comfort of your own home. But that's beside the point. In this letter, he, she, it, don't know who it's from, states that they no longer listen to our show because it has strayed away from firearms and Second Amendment and has turned to politics, current events, and exposing the truths about the topics of the day. They're right. We wish nothing more than to be able to get back to talking guns, to talking about new products, to talking about guns and safety and making fun of Ed. All those things like we used to do. But we realized a few months ago that there's a much bigger picture. We can't just continue to stand by and watch our city and our nation deteriorate right before our eyes. We owe it to our forefathers and to the next generation. The false information and oftentimes outright lies regarding police officers and now the countless cases reported in the media warrant us standing up and honestly fighting for justice, fighting for what is right, and for what the overwhelming majority of our country knows to be true. America is the greatest nation on earth, and it's in jeopardy. The presidential election is right around the corner. Are we not to take the candidate's words at face value? If someone says they're going to harm you, do you not have to take that serious threat? You have to. Vice President Biden has said in recent months, when asked by Anderson Cooper, would a Biden presidency mean you're coming to take their guns? And he replied, bingo. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal. He was talking about ARs. Last year at a fundraiser, Vice President Biden said, why should people be allowed to have military-style weapons such as the 9mm? It's his own words. His running mate, who could very easily be president, stated in the debates last year that she would give Congress 100 days to do something about guns, and if they didn't, she would do it via executive order. Gun czar Beto O'Rourke in the debates emphatically said, hell yeah, we're going to take your ARs and AKs. We just to blow it off? Or do we fight for the Constitution, the Second Amendment, and for law and order that many have fought for in the past 200 years? The American way of life. Of course, we can always improve upon the great nation. We have to. We have to take care of those who can't take care of themselves, and we have to give them the same opportunities as others. We obviously have to do that. But we also must be true to ourselves and use intellectually honest leaders to move forward. We're probably going to have more stories in the next 2 months about these topics, more than the latest holster on the market. But if you don't watch, the next generation may not have to worry about the latest holster on the market. We are the owners of LAPD Firearms and Range and are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our listeners and our customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms.
Okay, get off your soapbox. No. I agree. We all agree around this table.
I think we do.
When we see law enforcement being criticized, wanting to be defunded, And when they're attacking law enforcement, the Second Amendment, well, hell yes, we're going to talk about it.
You're right.
Because we take that personally.
Well, you have to. I mean, if someone is threatening you, it's your responsibility to take that personally. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, if they're saying that, and it's not that we're not beyond saying that things need changed or improved. Any business that you're in, anything that you do in your life, you can always look for ways to do it better and to improve upon it. And law enforcement is not an exception to that. But what we're seeing in the streets, it is not the way to do it, and it is based on false narratives. That's just the facts
All
of it.
All of it is false narratives.
It is.
That's
It's
the biggest
false
problem
narratives. The facts don't support it. Well, guys, it's only been about 4 weeks since we said we have a big announcement. We've been teasing this thing forever, right?
Yes, we have.
Today, I'm telling you, it's finally here, and it's going to be happening this week at 12:30, and you're not going to want to miss this.
I'm getting a raise.
Okay. No, you're still on probation.
And a promotion.
We're going to have that announcement, and it is going to be worth waiting for. Before that, JC has some stories to catch up on. I think Pawpaw even has a story or two today. And if we get a chance, we want to hear from you, too. That's something we don't get to do as much anymore. 614-821-WTVN is the number. But it is something that we do want to hear whatever others are saying and make sure it's just not us standing up here thinking everything is crazy. I'd like to thank our sponsors, TTG Technologies, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery, CNS Engraving, and Clean Water Systems, all who make the show possible each week. Joining me today in the LAPD studios, JC is on the live line. JC, I know you're not watching on Facebook, but I am experimenting with some graphics here. And if you are watching on Facebook, in the bottom corner, there's a little picture of JC, and it says JC is on the phone.
Because he can't tell he's on the phone. We got to let him know he's on the phone.
Well, JC knows he's on the phone, but others might not know he's on the phone.
Are you sure?
How you doing there, John?
I'm doing just fine. That's weathered a really heavy storm over there. I think our communications will be okay, but we talked earlier, and I lost you several times. So let me know if it's not going well. But anyway, we're doing fine.
Good. JC, did you see some news this week right here in Ohio? I think it was Senate Bill 300.
Well, it was Senate Bill 360, so that was a good one. The lawmakers in the Senate passed a bill making gun stores an essential business, even amid a pandemic or any other kind of turmoil. And this is really important. I think we're all aware us gun owners that several of the states during the pandemic said gun stores weren't essential and forced them to close down, even though there was all sorts of mayhem going around. You couldn't buy anything. Well, to remedy that, at least in the Senate, now it's going to go to the House, the Senate passed a bill saying even in the case of an emergency, that gun stores are considered essential. And somebody was on TV, I saw him, he's a very handsome guy, he looked very similar to you, Eric, and the quote was, hey, right now, the state of Ohio, we're considered essential, but this is to ensure that going forward, that they're, no matter who is in power, at the state level or city level, we will remain open and essential to serve our citizens. So that's a terrific thing. Hope it goes through. I think we all do.
Yep.
Another bill that passed, I got to get this in because it's really important. It actually affects me. But this is thanks to the Buckeye Firearms Association, who went and lobbied heavily with the Senate and the House. But they passed House Bill 614, which extends all current Ohio concealed handgun licenses. All of them are valid and extended to June 30th of 2021. And it's just because of the glut of folks applying for CHLs, and a lot of the small counties don't have their offices up and running. So it's created a huge backlog, and some folks are expiring and can't get in to renew. So this extends it to all holders. And also, it removes the contiguous county requirement during this. It's only temporary, but during this emergency order, so you can go to any county in the state of Ohio and renew your CHL. But it's good until June 30th of 2021. So those are excellent bills to come out. So
that's good stuff, JC. Good stuff. Sitting here to my left, my father, co-owner Phil. Papa, did you see this week, in this time of not being able to get anything in, we got in a bunch of SIG 365 XL for law enforcement. Yep,
really?
for law enforcement ones. a bunch of law enforcement ARs, and then it's rumored, it is true though, next week we're going to have a bunch of AR pistols coming in. So if that's something that's been on your list, you've been looking for, I'm not sure the price break yet. I think the brand might be Double Star. They look really, really sharp. So
wait a minute, Eric. Wait a minute. Didn't Beto O'Rourke said that he's going to take the
right?
AR?
That's why you got to get it now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I just want to make that clear out there, you folks. Now, of course, everybody we're broadcasting to right now, they pretty much agree with us. I wish they could get their liberal friends to listen to our show. But I don't think they want to really hear the truth.
Well, you know, we've always said we're going to talk around facts. I mean, it shouldn't be a political show, really.
It
shouldn't. I mean, it should be a show based on facts, and then you decide from there. But it unfortunately, it seems to always go down, the partisan lines on stuff like that because the sides just don't want to come off of that. Big Ed's to our right.
Hey, good afternoon. We have a great response on Facebook saying they love our format. No matter what we talk about, keep it up.
Do they like you or?
Well, of course they like me.
Well, wait a minute. I have to say this, Ed. I have to say this. He brought in donuts today.
He did?
He did.
Ooh.
But then he proceeded to eat most of them. But
that's only because you threatened me last weekend.
Hey, Big Ed, there was some horrible news yesterday.
Yes, there was. We lost a Franklin County Sheriff deputy. She was killed in a car accident on her way to work. Angela Kane was 51 years old. She was 10 years on at Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and she was killed when a dump truck had a blowout and crossed the center lanes and struck her.
What a tragedy. That's
terrible.
Just so
terrible.
I mean,
our hearts go out to her family and our blessings, and may God rest her soul.
Thanks, Ed. Sure. Sitting to my right, if you're looking on Facebook, the pretty face that's sitting here who hasn't said a word. I can't believe, of all people to sit here and not say a word, it's you.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
I know it. I mean, if we've squelched Tom Susi,
but
then
it's your show. I mean,
that's never stopped you before. From
I have etiquette here. This is your show, and I will speak when called upon.
You know what? We bow down to you. You're the professional. 30 years in broadcast journalism, right?
Was a while, yeah.
And going out there, reputation for going out there, getting the facts, holding people accountable. It's awesome to have you sitting in with us today.
Well, I appreciate being here. I've listened to you guys. I've been on your show before, and it's good to be a part of what's going on this afternoon.
Yep, good. Well, thanks for coming here.
Absolutely.
If you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. It is out there everywhere now. It's out there on iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, iTunes. You can certainly pick it up on any of those means. Facebook Live, great place to watch the show. Ed answers your questions during the show, talks to you on the commercials, and we're experimenting with some graphics now, so hopefully in the future it's going to look even better. And then that show is on YouTube in years or in weeks to come. We throw it out there as well. JC, it's time for some news. What do you have out there?
All right. Well, we just talked about the need for concealed carry, and you don't need that to defend yourself. But, things are still happening out there. For example, in Toledo, there was a daytime, right at noon, home invasion in Toledo where 3 guys came in with guns to an unknown. The guy didn't know any of them. He was able to get to a handgun and return. He ended up wounding 2. One died. One was a fatal shooting, and the other was wounded, and one got away. So, but the 2 that got away were being charged with murder as accomplices to a fatality while committing a crime. So this need out there, I mean, you have to be vigilant. Don't let your guard down, even when you're at home. It's a tragedy, but this is what happened. And, hey, speaking of murders, one of our favorite folks we have on from time to time is Ron O'Brien, the Franklin County prosecutor. He was just on a couple weeks ago. He just released something that was amazing for him. He said the solid police work of the Columbus police and the county police solves killings as the homicides rapidly increase. So his quote was, he said, they have the 6th murder indictment handed down by our grand jury this week.
6th this week?
This week. And he said, as prosecutor for over 20 years, I don't remember another week that compares. So then his quote goes on, he goes, hey, at a time when some are critical of our police, the citizens should feel proud and the division of police should be commended. that they continue to do the hard work necessary to solve homicides despite increased numbers and also despite the increased pressure from politicians.
Wow.
But they're out there doing their job. But 6 this week. So hats off to Ron O'Brien. He's running for re-election, isn't he?
Oh, he is. And you know what, JC? This is someone that we need to make sure stays in that position. I mean, he has served this community so well for years, graduated with Dad. I mean, what more could you want?
That alone should keep him.
I mean, just a good guy.
That was a backdoor compliment, I think.
He listens to the show as well, but we're so proud of him. And I mean, and like you said, John, in today's environment where everything's negative and critical about law enforcement, those men and women are out there still doing their job and doing it very well. Well, we're going to get to a short break. When we come back from the break, Paul, I see a story in front of you there that I know you wanted to talk about. We'll get to some other news. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD and Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
And now, how to survive.
Hello, everybody hear me okay out there, I hope?
He gets up, he goes to the bathroom, he gets something to eat because he can't go 45 minutes without eating something. And then he eats, and you can hear it through the mic, and people are like,
Matt,
hey.
we'll get into your good show topic. I'll bring that up to Eric and see if we can't get something like that up when we have a little bit less to talk about with everything that's going on in the cities and around us in the good old USA. Cindy, how are you doing? And you need to back off the getting angry watching those videos. You're going to have a coronary if you don't, I think. Don't want to see anything like that happen to you. Paul, Michael, how are you, buddy? Chris,
yeah. He's always on Facebook watching. Hey, what's the temp there, Em?
73.
73. You good? Are we all right?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
How you doing, Em?
I'm tired. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. How much time do I have left?
You have 1 minute and 10 seconds.
All right. Thanks, honey. All right. Dave Messinger, how are you doing? Ted Owens, hello.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys something real quick.
Yes.
My friend posted a caption that says, this film has outrated attitudes, language, and cultural, which may cause offense today. Guess what movie it was?
What movie it was from?
Yes, that's a warning before this movie was played on TV. It's really? Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2.
Oh my Lord.
What about Blazing Saddles?
Oh my gosh, that's everyone in the comments was like, well, then Blazing Saddles is not going to be allowed.
Classic. Jessica, I think you're checking in. How are you today, honey? And I want to say hello. Say hello to my brothers. My 3 brothers are out fishing on Lake Erie. I should have been with them today, but I didn't want to leave you guys. I stayed here for you. Hope you appreciate that. Happy Saturday, David.
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today, mostly sunny, dry and warm, high of 83. Tonight, mostly clear and mild, low of 63. Sunday, more sunshine. It's going to be beautiful. Warm and humid, high of 84. Currently 73 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610, WTVN.
Talk around the clock and breaking news at once. News Radio 610, WTVN.
Popo, I'm impressed because I could have recommended that one, but that was probably you, I think.
I don't think that was me. Was it, Emily?
No, it's me because Tommy DeVito died and I'm sad.
Okay. Good choice, Em.
Hey, good thing she's taking over the show for you.
I know. Can you do weather next time, Em?
No.
Can they hear you, Emily? I know we talk about this every week. Or are you just a voice in our ear?
No, this time they can.
Oh, this time they can? Oh. There's Emily, our lovely producer who keeps this show together each week. Welcome back to the show. We're on Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. We're located at 999 Bethel Road. That's just west of 315. And I'm your host, Eric. Joined today in the LAPD studios. JC's on the phone with us. Big Ed sits to my right, my father, Coner Phil, to my left. And we're so gracious to have Mr. Tom Susi to my right today, adding in his comments along the way. Speaking of comments along the way, Pawpaw, you have a story here that you've been itching to talk about?
Well, this was in the Dispatch a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and it was an article on Dave Yost, the Attorney General, and he was talking about the police, and he was saying something about that he calls for Ohio to license the police.
I thought I was already licensed.
I don't know what that means. There's all kinds of ORCs out there that gives the state of Ohio authority to commission police officers, to train them and everything else. And so I'm not really sure what he's meaning by that. I wish he would come and talk to us because, maybe it's something good, but I don't know what would be any different. What would give the police any more credibility than what we have now?
Typical Dispatch, the way that it's worded, it implies that there's no licensing. Like, I just showed up, and the township, they gave me a badge.
Gave you a badge
and a gun. Well, and a gun.
And a gun.
And it was only a couple bullets.
And a set of handcuffs.
Yes.
But he says a few things in here that's kind of disturbing. Like, we don't want to, see these cell phone videos of officers, doing bad things. And I'm thinking,
God,
the cell phone.
Every day, though.
You see them all. But you know what? They never showed the footage of what happens prior to that.
Exactly. You know what we need, Papa? We need an outlet that takes all of this and shows the actual footage and shows the actual behind-the-scenes story. We need to talk about that.
And that person that is on their cell phone taking the video, there's a Ohio Revised Code. 2321.23 is failure to aid a law enforcement officer. They can be if there's something that they can do to help that officer.
You can also confiscate their phone as evidence.
Yeah, these people with their cell phones, and if they could have helped the officer, and they didn't because it's more important to them to
film it,
to film it and to put it out there on social media, then let's cite these people.
You can't do that. Just to have it thrown out once it gets to court.
Oh man!
Come on, you want to be like the Gestapo now? What?
And you know what? Kenosha was a perfect example. So a man is there, shot, dying. One person helping, 4 people filming. I mean, what do we come to?
Isn't that pathetic? And something else too.
You're on a roll today.
Don't get me started.
All right, I won't.
Okay, the Columbus Police Department, their training is 1,100 plus hours of training to become a police officer. The state minimum is 737. So they actually throw a third more hours in there for training. Franklin County, I believe, is probably the same thing. Back when I went to you don't want to know. You don't want to know, but I think
a gun and a badge.
But I think back then, I think the requirement for Columbus was like 600 hours, something like that.
Well, again, people don't realize the continuing education. Do you know how many hours of cultural sensitivity training I went through this week? But people don't. I mean, not me personally. Don't get that wrong. It wasn't like, hey, Eric.
And it didn't work.
But I mean, we need an outlet to get the facts out about police training, the facts out about what goes on behind the scenes, because people don't know. I mean,
other than doctors, let's say, who else is out there that works that is basically under the Ohio Revised Code is always on duty, regardless of whether you're during your work hours, but when you're off duty and you're just enjoying your time off, you're still on duty. The Ohio Revised Code gives you that authority and gives you that direction, basically.
I see 2 comments coming through on Facebook. One, Mr. Ron O'Brien gives a shout out to the boys and stuff. Always good to hear from you there, Ron. And then also, Papa, someone asked if you rode a dinosaur in your first opening shifts. I'm just reading what it says. JC, you have the last word. We got 45 seconds before we go into the news.
The media doesn't want the facts to interfere with their biased. It's just crazy. And look at the folks. Ginther this week said he was heartbroken by the outcome of the Breonna Taylor case. Well, this is a case that was pointed out by the FOP. This was a civilian review, which is what Ginther says that he wants, although he wants to stack it to people that don't like the police, and he's one of those, I guess. But anyway, the facts are the facts in that case. If you just read it, this wasn't, the police did knock. Even the guy who fired at the police said, yeah, they knocked, said they were police. He just thought there were more drug dealers coming in. He shot first, wounded 2 police officers before they returned fire. It was a tragedy that this woman that was in there got killed. It really was. However, I mean, they returned fire. And the guy on the outside just shooting into the house without anything, yeah, he's fired and he's going to be charged. But this is a legal police raid, and it was really unfortunate. But they like Ginther brings it up. What a tragedy! We've got to do something about this. Well, this was a civilian jury said, the grand jury that said, look, they really didn't do anything wrong. They returned fire after being wounded. What are you supposed to do? So
you're absolutely right, JC. We need to have an outlet where the facts are out there. We're going to jump into the bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we have the big announcement that everyone's been waiting for, and we're going to get to that. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
There's Phil on top of things as usual. Hey, in reference to your question about licensing that you brought up for the police, I have it from a good informant who's very close to the AG, and what they're talking about is having us licensed as they do for doctors and lawyers, so they can pool our license to they want us to no longer be able to be a police officer. So it's not just a sworn oath that we take. Now they're talking about getting us licensed. Does that make sense to you now, Phil? Okay. Thanks for that information out there, Sam. I appreciate it. See? Yeah.
Well, you had to go on your audio right from the board. You clean that up a little bit.
I should clean it up a little bit? I thanked him on air just now. Well, I don't know that he wants people to know. Okay. Oh, you mean bring up the article or what you were talking about? Okay, yeah, sure. I'll do that. Good afternoon, Gretchen. Thanks for checking in. It's always good to see you. Scott. Scott Thomas, see, multiple websites. The law requires that more hours of training become a barber. Yes, you're right. That is so true. It takes more hours to become a barber or a hairstylist than it does a police officer. That's true. Cops can always go through civil review boards. Well, we saw how that worked. Since the last one they just had with the city, I think that all were in favor of the police but one, which is fine if the Civil Review Board understands everything we have to go through and what we do. But, being there for that split-second information, that split-second situation for them to come up with an answer or a decision on whether we were right or wrong, and not being there to see it firsthand is a waste of time as far as I'm concerned.
We keep getting big guys sitting in. Big guys. Cramped like this. They're still big in stature.
You guys better watch I'm on the air yet. Emily, how much time we have on?
18 seconds.
18 seconds.
No, it was Ronnie before. I'm going to cut you off, Ed.
Cut me off. As usual, cut me off.
Okay, guys, here we go.
From LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target.
that get you excited? Does that get you excited? Because what we're about to announce, sitting here with our guest today, I tell you what, I am so pumped about this. As we said from the top of the hour, this show has evolved, for good or for bad, into a source of getting out facts about what we're seeing in our streets, hearing from our politicians, and supporting law enforcement. It really has been too much of a stretch, though, because for 290 shows, guys, today's the 290th show of us. For 290 shows,
a lot of shows.
We started each week by saying a commitment to bring you facts about our industry. That is what we have built a reputation around. For almost 30 years, Tom Soucy, sitting here right beside us, Tom has had that same commitment. You've seen him for years on local TV, and when you watched any of his segments, you knew he was going to get to the facts and expose those needing exposed. Tom most recently stepped down from the spotlight and started his own successful PI business for the past few years, but something changed in June. Something changed. He could no longer sit back and watch misreporting, underreporting, lies, and falsehoods about our men and women in blue being perpetuated on social media, TV, radio, and other outlets. He had something to offer, and he saw the importance of fighting back. He started the Soucy Report, which took deep dives into stories media has gingerly brushed over. He requested records from politicians and put politicians on notice. He is back in the game, and he is here to make a difference. And starting this week, the Soucy Report, in partnership with OnTarget Studios, is going to start a weekly podcast right here from LEPD. It's going to air live on Facebook, and the audio version will be available shortly thereafter. And as these songs teed it up, we're going to shake it up. We are going to shake it up, Tom.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I never anticipated getting back in the reporting game, but as you eloquently described, it was because of what was going on in June, the protests, the anarchy, the lack of respect for law and order, and a lack of accountability with our elected and public officials. And it was time, and it is time, to call them out. The silent majority is not being silent anymore, my friend.
Exactly, Tom. And you know what? This is going to be one place in Central Ohio where people are guaranteed to be able to get facts about all these different things. Sometimes it's local, sometimes it's police, sometimes it's politicians. And you've been doing this since June, and all of a sudden ignited an enormous following just on your Facebook page by getting out there and pounding the pavement again.
Yeah, it just popped because in February and March, I killed social media. I was just concentrating on my private investigative business, and I wanted nothing to do with reporting. And then the riots, protest, right?
You're right. You were right the first time.
Riots hit. And, it was just a state of anarchy in our city for months. And I started talking about it again, and it blew up. And it blew up to the degree where you and I are going to be doing a podcast. I'm launching a new website. I'm going to hire a photographer to record me chasing down politicians. Yep. So we are back in the game.
And you're hearing already through channels that what you've done so far is being noticed. Let's just say,
absolutely,
in local politics, is being noticed.
It's being noticed.
There's concern.
There is somebody out there now holding these people accountable, because the media doesn't do it. Mainstream media is failing us because
fake news.
They just, it's no news. It's COVID numbers. They should just have it's the daily COVID numbers covering the protests.
Well, they don't want to tell what's really happening.
It's easy to do.
Why, yeah.
Mainstream media is about making money.
Exactly.
It's a business.
And you saw it firsthand, Tom. I mean, you saw it firsthand how things changed in those 30 years that you were on. I mean, it was no longer about necessarily getting all the facts and exposing and everything else. Everyone dialed it back.
Well, I got to tell you, I can remember back when you were on the news stations and they'd have your segment come up, and I thought, man, if I ever saw that guy coming up my sidewalk or my door one day, I do not want to be here. And now I'm sitting next to the man.
That's right. You're on the right side, Ed.
That's right.
No, I was the last 3 years in TV were the most miserable years of my life, trying to walk that line of political correctness, not offend this person, not offend that person. A viewer could complain, and a story wouldn't air. An advertiser could stop a story. I got tired of it. Yep. And I quit after nearly 30 years in TV and never planned on getting back into the game. But I'm back in on my own terms, and it's going to be a
Looking
good thing for
forward
both
to
of
seeing
us.
everything that you put out there.
We'll get you to go with me with a camera.
Hell yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
Big Ed.
Bodyguard, camera operator.
And if you're watching on Facebook, I don't know, we threw it out there. Let me throw it out there again real quick, though. What do you think about that Big Ed? Do you see that come through on Facebook? Our new graphics here?
I did see it. It
will come
was up. It was
Yeah.
up, and now it's down again.
It's the graphic of the Susie report. Hey, JC, what do you think?
Oh, this is, I love it. I loved it when he was doing the 6 on Your Side. That was one of my favorite because, as he says, I've just coined this phrase, he's real, he's raw, and he's relevant. Now, you can go ahead and feel free to use that, Tom. So,
and he's back.
He's back.
Yeah. He's,
well, thank you, JC. I appreciate
that. This is what we need, but we just have to have this. It's so one-sided, so biased. It's just unbelievable, and then so many people are buying into it without realizing what the facts are.
And the boys here sitting at the table have been chipping away at this, so it's good to partner up with people like you folks to even chip away at it at a greater level.
It is, and we've always struggled. I mean, this guy. I mean, this letter that we received, I get it. I mean, we're a show. We were based around firearms, and we've just, because most of us came from law enforcement, we felt that a neat need to kind of to dwindle off in that direction for a bit. But I want to get back to talking guns and everything else. So this is going to be a great outlet where we can put full focus on it. So I wrote up a couple things here.
Sure.
For those out there thinking, what kind of topics are they going to talk about? I got a couple things here that you've already done some research on, and we have as well, just to get people excited about what we're going to tackle. This one has probably been, we've received the most emails and calls from. Worthington Schools, my alma mater, did away with school resource officers. And the way that they did it, the audio that came out of those meetings is sickening. It's sickening that educators came in that board meeting, and it's all on audio, and said that the mere sight of law enforcement are going to put kids into an episode, and we need to have counselors who specialize in PTSD on staff, just if they're in the parking lot. How ridiculous are we teaching that to our kids? They're the educators, and there is so much more to that story. I know you delved into it a little bit, but there is a lot more to peel back there that we're going to get to on these.
Oh, absolutely. There's a movement out in Worthington to defund the police, and basically there's a sense of lawlessness out there. What's going on in this society and throughout our country is anarchy.
It is.
It's anarchy. You could call it what you want to call it, but we're in a state of anarchy, and if we don't step up and fight it, it's going to be a huge, huge problem.
And you talked about this recent weeks. It happened in Worthington. It's happening in Columbus City schools. They stand up there and they want to defund the police, and we're going to take officers out of the schools because of this and that. And all of a sudden, and then the next breath, Tom, hey, we need a couple guys to work special duty at the football game tonight because we're worried about. And guess what? Most of the officers are standing up and saying, sorry, have family plans. Yep. That's the result of these people wanting to get law enforcement out of their schools.
What a state of hypocrisy when the Columbus City Schools, the board, basically comes out and say, we don't want to be associated with police. We think you're racist.
Right.
We don't want to be associated with you. And then when the football season
we need
starts,
your help.
hey, and they basically rejected it. Columbus, the Columbus police wanted nothing to do with it. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office wanted nothing to do with it. And then it became a political tug-of-war to try to get police officers to go to these football games. I'm not sure if any of them actually stepped up and, went to the games, but it's something we need to look into.
And there was talk that they were going to be forced to go to these.
I was hearing there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. This is something we're definitely going to cover on the podcast. The podcast, the intent of it is each week or twice a week, we're going to tackle a topic that day. So when we jump on, it's going to be today we're talking about the Worthington schools, and here's everything about it, and we're going to go to town on that. Something else, here's another topic for you that's hit the news this past week. CPD officer Lieutenant Melissa McFadden. All kinds of things surrounding this. I mean, Tom, you have pages.
Well, all you have to say is that Lieutenant Melissa McFadden recently wrote a book, Walking the Thin Black Line, Confronting Racism in the Columbus Division of Police. She's still employed there. She has a federal lawsuit going against the Columbus Police Department.
Well, that surprises me.
Isn't that crazy how she was able to actually write that book violating the division's policy? If any other officer would have written that book, they would have been fired.
I'm going to assume that this is a black female lieutenant?
You assume correctly.
Yes.
Well, that explains why she's still working there.
Well, she has that federal lawsuit hanging over their heads, too, so she's almost bulletproof, because if they fire her now, it's discrimination.
Do you know that she apparently, and we're going to research this, had some complaints filed on her?
No.
A bunch of complaints.
From African-American officers?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, in 2018, the Internal Affairs Department released a 400-page report, an investigation into Lieutenant Melissa McFadden. The chief then, Kim Jacobs, wanted to fire her, recommended that she be fired. The city's director of public safety, Ned Pettis, came forward and said they couldn't sustain any of the allegations and complaints against her, so she wasn't fired.
Wow, it's incredible. That's another one. How about this?
Well, that was in the dispatch, but that never came out. That this part of it,
it was on section Z10.
Z10,
yeah.
And,
would that be closer to the rear of the papers?
And I hope that we address, and I hope Tom goes after this email that went out from OSU that you forwarded to me.
Oh my!
From the president of OSU.
Talk about irresponsible educators. So this week,
let's add some fuel to that fire.
This week, JC, I know you looked into this too.
Yeah.
The Breonna Taylor case, the grand jury ruled that none of the officers were going to be charged directly for her murder. A tragic event, but it was just that, a tragic event. There was no intent, let's bust down this door and see if we can find a person of color to shoot. That was not in play. And so after that came out by a grand jury of their peers, right? Our president of OSU sent an email and a text, I think it went through text too, to all students and faculty. And it was, JC, it was one of the most irresponsible emails inciting violence that I have ever seen from a person in power like that.
And what is, she's the president of a university that's supposed to be, esteemed for doing its research and science. That's what Ohio State's known for. And apparently she didn't even look and read what the reports that are out there. I mean, this happened, in March. She just came up with her own little agenda, and it's just, that's what I don't know. That's why we need Tom. We need someone to say, "Hey, here is what the facts really are. You make the decision."
Well,
it's just irresponsible.
It is tragic that Miss Taylor was killed, but if you read between the lines, don't associate yourself with people that she was dating or whatever. I mean, you put yourself in that situation, some bad things could happen.
In my life, I don't run the risk of the police banging down my door.
No, you don't.
My lifestyle isn't such where I fear at night that my house is going to be raided.
Then obviously you don't deal with drugs or anything, and you don't have packages dropped off at your house and things like that.
Oh, he's got packages.
Oh, he's got packages.
Well, that is true. So that's another one that we're going to tackle.
But what you're seeing institutions, you're seeing big business, you're seeing politicians basically caving in to what's going on in society. They're caving in to the protesters. That's what's going on.
Yeah, it is. No one is standing up,
They're caving in.
Yep. Locally, a lot of these people keep throwing out their CPD cases. You'll often hear them talk about the Henry Green case. The case where this individual walking down the street, in the investigator's notes, they show that he had a firearm in his waistband, pointed it or brandished it to a neighbor mere minutes before. His partner said that they knew the undercover officers were officers. He shot first. Case closed. I mean, there's nothing more to discuss here about this,
Yeah, it was almost closed. Now they reopened it.
Right.
And to civil litigation.
Yep.
So that they can sue now.
How about this one? This one, you can't make this stuff up. Julius Tate case. I don't know if you remember that one, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here. We'll get to the details during the podcast. But apparently this person went out there along with a girlfriend or an accomplice. They would go out there on Craigslist or some of these social media sites to buy something, meet with somebody, and they would rob them. So CPD got a word on this. They went, they set up a meeting with them. During that meeting, this individual pulled a firearm, pointed it at the SWAT officer. Another officer who was monitoring the situation shot and killed this individual. His accomplice, an underage female, testified that he was just walking innocently in the yard when they shot him, and then they pulled the body back to the scene of the crime. Her story changed, though, when she was charged for murder, because she was there in the commission of a felony where somebody died.
Felony murder.
Exactly.
Right.
She got charged for murder. And guess what? Well, the truth came out that her attorney told her the story to say to police.
No kidding.
Yeah. All in the notes of the investigation.
And he should be brought up on charges, too. Then.
I didn't see that on the news.
No, of course not.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think we need to investigate one more thing.
Okay, can we do it after the break?
We certainly can.
All right, after the break, we're going to talk about a little bit more about the Sousa report and what's coming up soon right here at LEPD. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
I'll bring that up about the Black Lives Matter shirts after we get off break, so everybody can hear about it. Thanks for that info, Cindy. Of course, we have to be somewhat cautious. We don't want to have any riots here. Worthington is quick to pounce on the benevolent groups for taxes. Yes, they are.
How'd you like that montage? Everything shake it up, AC/DC.
Yeah, you really mixed it up there, buddy.
Well, I do rock sometimes. I do rock.
Jen Matthews, you actually had a Dublin parent come up and tell you that they do not have to have ROTC programs because they're too rich for it. Boy, I'll tell you, that's pretty hypocritical. Guess when you got money, you can say and do whatever you want anymore, huh? Paul, I'll bring that up about the mayor with Tom. I think he's working
15 seconds.
Thank you. I think he's working on a little
what's your temp there, Em?
Thing there for that now anyhow.
77.
Hey, that intro was awesome. Yeah, hey, you could be a producer someday.
Thanks. I aspire to be more.
Your ABC 6 first warning weather. Today, mostly sunny, dry, and warm, high of 83. Tonight, mostly clear and mild, low of 63. Sunday, more sunshine, warm and humid, 84 is going to be your highs. Currently 77 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610, WTVN.
Columbus's news, traffic, weather, and sports station. News Radio 610, WTVN.
Is this yours, Papa? It's your
era. I think so. Yeah, that's fine.
It is.
I'll take credit for it. Thank you, Emily.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios. JC's on the phone with us, my father and co-owner, sits to my left.
Now, I have to get this in because this is really pertinent.
Okay, well, hold on. Big Ed's is right there.
Yeah, I mean, can he say hello to me and introduce me?
And Tom Sousa,
Don't stare at me like
who
that,
was
Phil.
just announced. Oh, can you guys take this off?
Oh,
air?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Tom Sousa is to our right, and we announced today a podcast that we're going to start.
It's my pleasure to be working with you guys.
Yep,
Trust me.
We're excited. Pawpaw.
Okay, Paul, go ahead.
I was just texted by a listener.
Yes.
You got to read text.
I mean, this is important. I think Tom needs to look into this. It says to ask Big Ed about taking his brand new camper back for repair because you broke the toilet.
Now, is this something you take on, Tom, or no? I mean,
in this case, I would because it sounds like it'd be an interesting story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was from a listener. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was from the mayor of Marengo. That's who that was.
So, guys, we're talking about this podcast we're going to put on, and so many topics. I mean, Ginther, geez, that's a whole month worth of topics.
Yep, there's your answer. Ginther will be looked at.
Baker Hotstetler, the statues that were overpaid for that Paul could have done for $12,000, we paid $90,000. Sorry, Paul, I'll put you on the spot on that. The Civilian Review Board with Jasmine Ayers. I mean, it's just on and on and on and on.
How can you have somebody working on structuring a Civilian Review Board when one of the members of that work group come out and basically say police are racist?
Yeah.
How can that happen?
You would think that you'd want a responsible person like maybe former police chief Kim Jacobs,
right?
Or somebody who's reputable and knowledgeable.
And you know what Columbus councilperson Elizabeth what's Brown, Elizabeth Brown said, we need people from different opinions and different backgrounds, and it'll be good that we have somebody who actually may not see it the way everybody else does.
Don't they have somebody on the review board that was a convicted felon?
Yeah, well, one of the attorneys was the attorney who represented the killer in the Westerville shooters case.
Yeah, but there was also somebody else.
Yeah, there was a felon.
That review board's a joke.
Yep.
It is a joke.
So, guys, some of the nuts and bolts about the podcast. It's going to start next week. We're not 100% sure which day. It's probably going to go Facebook Live. Watch our site, LEPD Firearms and Range. Watch Tom's site, the Susie Report. Is that the Facebook?
Yeah, that is the Facebook page now.
Yep.
I have to take it off my personal page because it's just growing.
Yeah.
It can't be there anymore.
So we will get the message out. It is going to be out there afterwards. If you miss it live, you can listen to it, but it's going to be out there. We'll let you know where the podcasts are going to sit. Here's the other thing, too, as we go into the final minute here. All this stuff is done. We're not sitting around here looking to make money. Obviously, we're not at all. It's just the opposite.
I haven't been paid in months.
But there is substantial cost. I said off air, Ed. There is substantial cost to putting these things on.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is. So if you know someone who is willing to help offset those, we could use it, because the more we get, the more we can get this message out. We can advertise the podcast, and we can push it out. I mean, it's just a couple guys sitting around
here. Maybe we should do a GoFundMe page.
Yeah,
seriously, I mean, that might not be.
Yeah, put a camera in Big Ed's hands, and he can follow me to City Hall once.
I'm there. I'm there with you, buddy. I'm there. I'm to back you up. Hey, one of our listeners brought up the fact that the teachers in Dublin are wearing Black Lives Matter shirts
at school.
At school, her daughter has pictures of it.
Wow.
It's one of our faithful listeners, Cindy.
Oh, wow. Guys, thanks for spending the last hour with us. JC, thanks for calling in. Watch this week.
Absolutely.
Watch us next week.
Hey, we don't want to forget about the Chicago update. We had 74 people shot last weekend.
Wow. Incredible. Have a great week. Stay with us. Keep your head up. Keep fighting out there.
Hey, be safe out there.
And let's be careful out there.
Yeah, keep your head down.
Any trade goes.
Emily.
1 second.
Yep.
I got out about 18 months ago. I don't miss it. I don't miss anything. I don't miss the egos. I don't miss
Hey, Papa.
Eric?
Pay for it. Yes, ma'am. Do you think I forgot about you?
Too long.
Always.
Dude, you killed it on that intro.
You know,
I mean, seriously, that was perfect.
I try.
You did. I mean, you always sell yourself short. Like, I don't know if I can do it, and
No, I really
don't know if
didn't
I have
think I
enough
could- I would have
time, and
time
I have to
because
go to the
it's crazy.
bathroom first, and then
I haven't. You know what? I've been holding it in your whole show, so I don't want to hear it.
Wow. Hey, you're here next week, right?
Yeah, it's the 17th of October.
Okay, you got to cancel that. Okay.
I'm not.
Why? Is that your CCW or?
No, that's not till December.
Okay, what's 17th?
My mom will kill me if I don't show up to the Wilds. We're staying overnight at the Wilds, I guess, on the 16th. So.
And you can't drive back and forth for an hour?
No.
I'm teasing you.
Do you want to take it up with Mama Clark?
No, I don't. I'm still waiting for a meatball from Mama Clark or something.
Oh, something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll bring something someday.
All right, dude.
All right, ready whenever you are.
Here we go. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you up. Oh, let's try it again. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you updated on industry news and the fight for the Second Amendment. JC has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by CNS Engraving. Tune in Saturday at noon or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week we keep you updated on industry news and the fight for the Second Amendment. JC has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by CNS Engraving. Tune in tomorrow at noon or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. Today we keep you updated on industry news and the fight for the Second Amendment. JC has the Gun of the Week, sponsored by CNS Engraving. Tune in today at noon or live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road.
All right, good to go.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, Em.